From insane silliness in otherwise serious-minded offerings, to dreadfully dumb revenge ploys, and convoluted mustache-twirling schemes that just make no damn sense at all. These murderous motives all ultimately left slasher movie audiences scratching their heads. Hi, I'm Gareth, this is What Culture Horror, and here are the worst motives in slasher horror movies. Magic black goo made them do it. Black Christmas, 2019. Right, there's no getting around it, 2019's Black Christmas remake is just god-awful. While ditching the series' original killer Billy was by no means a fatal flaw, and the film's focus on frat culture misogyny absolutely had potential, it ultimately just got way too silly for its own good. It's eventually revealed that the series of killings happening on campus have been caused by the bust of the university's founder, Calvin Hawthorne, which leaks a magic black goo that allows Hawthorne's spirit to possess anyone who touches it. Right. In turn, Hawthorne commands the frat boys who come in contact with the goo to kill any female students who get out of line. This was just a goofy, lunk-headed way to amp up the original 1974 film's existing feminist themes, and left many rolling their eyes at how on the nose and ridiculous it really was. Women fending off a misogynist frat cult that wants to subjugate them? Yeah, alright, cool. But bringing in the black goo from Prometheus totally out of nowhere? Yeah, that's a big old nah. To get a Hollywood directing career, Urban Legend's final cut. While the first Urban Legend had the simple but effective motive of someone seeking revenge for their fiance's death, the largely unrelated sequel went absolutely hog wild in the best/worst way possible. The killer turns out to be film professor Solomon, who plans to frame protagonist Amy for the various murders throughout the movie. The reason for this? Well, as a young film student, Solomon lost out on the prestigious Hitchcock Award due to a deciding vote made by Amy's filmmaker father. And so, Solomon planned to frame Amy out of revenge before passing victim Travis's film off as his own, allowing him to claim the Hitchcock Award and in turn win himself a directing career. Wait a minute, what? How exactly is a professor gonna win an award aimed at student filmmakers? Especially with so much of the student body suspiciously torn asunder in his midst? Not to mention that winning even the most reputed filmmaking award is in no way a guarantee of future career success. Just, none of it makes any damn sense. Having an affair with the same man, happy death day. Romance-fueled motives are almost always incredibly underwhelming in slasher flicks, as evidenced by Happy Death Day. It's eventually revealed that the cherub mask-wearing killer is Tree's roommate, Laurie, who has been repeatedly killing Tree out of jealousy for them both having an affair with Dr. Butler, but Butler preferring Tree of the two. The script is at least patently aware that this is a massively anticlimactic reveal, given that Tree straight up says to Laurie, "Wait, you've been killing me over some stupid guy." Apparently so. All the same, it remains a resoundingly uninteresting explanation for the killings. And given that so much of the film is overflowing with ferocious feminist energy, it's hugely unsatisfying that the crux of the conflict comes down to two women just battling over the same guy. Revenge for his son's death. Friday the 13th, A New Beginning. Friday the 13th, A New Beginning was in something of a creative bind given the pretty damn decisive death of Jason Voorhees in the previous film, and so the decision was made to reveal a Jason copycat doing the rounds in Part 5, as turns out to be paramedic Roy Burns. Roy's motive? The movie's very first victim, Joey, was actually his son, and after being called to the scene of his son's own grisly murder, Roy was driven insane. Roy then decided to get revenge by embarking on his own Jason Voorhees-inspired killing spree, despite the fact that the man who actually hacked his son to death with an axe was arrested at the start of the movie and never seen again. And so his resulting rampage is nothing more than a fit of impotent murderous rage, really. How dumb. And that he decided to copycat Jason because reasons being that someone needed to dress up as Jason for this movie to exist, only makes it that much dumber. Getting bullied for being rich. There's someone inside your house. Netflix slasher There's Someone Inside Your House revolves around a killer targeting various residents of Osborne, Nebraska. And in a neatly creepy touch, the killer wears a plastic mask resembling the very person they're about to kill. That would freak me out. And then I'd be dead. The third act reveals the killer to be Zach Sanford, who slaughtered everyone in revenge for being bullied as the son of wealthy land baron Skipper Sanford. Skipper's buying and selling of land in the town made him extremely unpopular with the locals, and by extension, Zach was tormented by his fellow students students for being born into privilege. Now, of course, wealthy people have problems just like anyone else, but going on a killing spree for being bullied about the amount of money in your daddy's bank account, that's really a tough sell to the audience, isn't it? Now, sure, Zach is supposed to have been driven insane by both other students and his abusive father, but all the same, there is just nothing clever or even basically persuasive about any of this. Swing and a miss. Avenging his baby mama killed in a Black Friday stampede Thanksgiving. Eli Roth's Thanksgiving is nothing if not a slasher flick that doesn't really take itself too seriously. But at the same time, the killer's motive is pretty damn lousy, to be honest. So the third act reveals that the person killing people in a creepy John Carver getup is none other than Sheriff Eric Newlin, who embarked on his crusade out of revenge for the death of a woman called Amanda, who died in the film's opening Black Friday stampede. As it turns out, Eric was having an affair with Amanda, and more to the point, she was pregnant with his child. And so his grief-fueled rage prompted him to start killing anyone with even the most tangential association with the events of that fateful night, whether they really played a part in Amanda's death or not. Now, you can generously argue that Newland's motive was intentionally lame, in order to mimic the trashy exploitation films that inspired Thanksgiving. But come on, was this really the best they could do here? If anything, a film this wild should have gone way sillier with something more overtly Thanksgiving themed beyond my loved one died during Thanksgiving. If she'd been killed with a turkey though, well. Hating Stab 8, Scream 2022. The Scream franchise has had its fair share of amusingly twisted motives. From mummy issues to good old-fashioned revenge to simple peer pressure. There's been a bit of everything. The fifth movie decided to get a little cute though, by turning its focus towards toxic fans, with killers Richie and Amber embarking on their murderous spree in an attempt to course-correct the Stab franchise. The Stab movies are of course based on the ghost face killings within the Scream series itself, though Stab's polarizing recent sequels, namely the wildly divisive Stab 8, created a cult of hateful fans online. And so Richie and Amber decided to make their own real-life requel, introducing new protagonist Sam while bringing the legacy cast back, in the hope that it'd generate source material for a better new Stab film. Though clearly intended as a stab at mocking those who made hating Star Wars Episode 8 The Last Jedi their entire personality, enough that Stab 8 is even directed by The Last Jedi's Rian Johnson, this all just got a little too silly even for Scream standards. Making fun of fans who care way too much is all well and good, but this got cartoonish enough that it made Roman's whole long-lost half-brother shtick in Scream 3 seem positively grounded. And if the iconic series has proven anything over the years, it's that the killers with more personal, visceral motives tend to be the most satisfying ones, not the silly ones. Avenging their son's COVID death, Sick. John Hyam's pandemic-set slasher film Sick follows two pals, Parker and Miri, as they quarantine at a family lake house, where they're stalked by a masked killer. The culprits are eventually revealed to be a couple, Pamela and Jason, who have been targeting Parker because she infected their son Benji with COVID, as later caused his death. And while the attempt to offer a timely spin on typical revenge motives is laudable, this is one of those reveals that just strains the story's plausibility to snapping point. Namely, how would the parents be able to plausibly ascertain that in a period where COVID is rampant, Parker was the person wholly responsible for their son's death? As such, despite the film absolutely being a white-knuckle thrill ride for the most part, it ends up falling a little flat in the final stretch with a villain reveal which just leaves audiences questioning the logic rather than simply enjoying the unhinged mayhem. And that's never a good thing, is it? To protect his girlfriend, who wasn't in danger. Sorority Row. In Sorority Row, a killer begins offing a group of sorority sisters 8 months after one of their own, Megan, is accidentally killed in a prank gone wrong. If you assume the killer would end up being someone related to Megan, or perhaps even a still-alive Megan herself, well then think again, my friend. The killer ends up being Andy, the boyfriend of protagonist Cassidy, who attempts to murder everyone who knows about Megan's death, except Cassidy of course, in an attempt to ensure his and Cassidy's future isn't jeopardized. Now, self-preservation isn't an inherently bad motive, but considering that there wasn't really anybody pointing a finger at Cassidy for Megan's death so long after the fact, it just seems awfully preemptive to start killing everybody party to the big secret anyway. It's just weak sauce as motives go, ensuring this was yet another slasher remake which largely fell right onto its face in the end. Like me after one one too many pints of Guinness. Thank you very much for stopping by to check out this What Culture Horror video today, my friend. Your support is very much appreciated, and if you haven't already, then hit that subscribe button down below and you're gonna get more frightening What Culture Horror stuff in your day. What a freaky delight.